Dr. Joan Sage is our next speaker, and she is serving in her first year as president of Oregon Right to Life. Joan studied medicine at the Robert Wood Johnson Medical School in New Jersey, and before that she attended Princeton, where she met her Oregonian husband. They moved here, and she's adopted Oregon as her home. She has served as a pediatrician for more than 20 years in Portland. She's also served on the board of the Pregnancy Support Centers of Greater Portland and now serves on their medical advisory committee. Please join me in giving Dr. Joan Sage a warm Right to Life welcome.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you, and good afternoon. As president of Oregon Right to Life, I say welcome. Thank you for coming this afternoon to remember the lives lost and others who've been affected by abortions over the last 38 years. I want to give a special greeting to those here who are in their teens, 20s, and 30s. Yay. More on that in a moment. But to everyone, your presence here also shows your support for continued efforts to restrain and, where possible, counter the effects of legalized abortion in America. The Supreme Court Roe v. Wade decision in 1973, legalizing abortion, opened the gates wide for a culture of death in the United States. But we who stand for life are determined to remain a positive force, saving lives and changing hearts and minds. After Roe v. Wade, many argued that we were entering a slippery slope, one that devalues human life. With abortions legalized, there would be passive and then even active euthanasia of infants, the poor, the disabled, and the elderly. As one medical ethicist put it, and I quote, "The legalization of abortion desensitizes people to killing human life. It opens the door to killing other categories of humans who are an inconvenience, expense, or embarrassment," unquote. Evidence abounds that that slippery slope is here. There are the 53 million lives lost, over 97% of them for convenience or lack of family support. There are the publicized cases of euthanasia of the disabled. Then there is the legalization of physician-assisted suicide for the terminally ill, Oregon being the first place in the world to do that. And increasingly, we hear some rhetoric in public and economic policy circles about there being, for the elderly and the chronically ill, a duty to die. As most of you would agree, though, we who stand for life are determined to stand against the slippery slope of death and negativity, and to remain a positive force for life in all its stages. We do this every time we elect officials who share our life-affirming values, when they pass legislation which helps protect life, and defeat legislation that threaten our values, such as attempts to limit the pro-life, pro-family, and pro-woman pregnancy health centers. We're also a positive and effective force when we continue to tell the truth about human life, life from conception to natural death. And when we come alongside those who are scared, confused, or struggling with life and death decisions, and when we empower them to opt for life. Oregon Right to Life is nonpartisan, non-sectarian, and Oregon's largest pro-life organization. Our mission is to nonviolently protect innocent human life in all its stages. We exist to help promote a positive force for life in Oregon. Most of you know that we do this through supporting and encouraging strongly pro-life candidates of any party and pro-life legislation. What we many don't realize, though, is that we also have a broad, very active, and effective educational arm. We have booths at fairs all across the state, give talks in high schools, churches, and university campuses, organize Camp Joshua, which trains young people to defend life, and put on our annual statewide conference that brings together local and national pro-life champions. Through all these activities, we are empowering and saving lives locally, as well as nationally and internationally through our popular website, standupgirl.com. We people who stand for life really are a force to be reckoned with. We do make up the majority of the population. Poll after poll shows that most of the nation identifies itself as pro-life. And you young people, those under 40, who have lived all of your conscious lives under the laws of the legalized abortion, although you have inherited this, you know that you do not have to accept the status quo. And polls are showing you to be increasingly, your generation is increasingly pro-life. You are the future of the movement. Remember, friends, we're not alone. God himself, of course, knowing the truth about his own creation, sees the unborn as fully the person he created them to be. He told Jeremiah, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you." King David said, "God's eyes have seen my unformed substance, and in his book were written all the days of my life before they were ordained, that were ordained for me, when as yet there was none of them." Friends, God already knows each life before it is even conceived. Conception is just the start of the physical state. So God created life. He loves life. He loves his created beings. Life's end, our death, should be in his domain, in his hands. We are invited, therefore, to positively, lovingly grapple with this society's culture of death. In Proverbs we read, "Deliver those who are drawn toward death. Hold back those stumbling to the slaughter. And open your mouth for the speechless, in the cause of all who are appointed to die." Friends, God has us living in this time and place to be a positive force for life. Let the 53 million lost stir you. Let the truth about life faithfully undergird your efforts. And as Scripture reminds us, do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. The Supreme Court decision may have opened the gates, accelerating a culture of death. But life is a gift of God, one that we must and will steadfastly continue to cherish and stand for. Thank you.